These gorgeous things are Asafo flags, and they come from what is today Ghana. But when they were created about 100 years ago, it was the Gold Coast. They depict a period of alliance between those local people, the Fante, who made them, and the British. And they show a coast in huge change, in huge flux. You can see the boats, you can see the trains, new technologies introduced by the British. But these were also very much symbols of local pride. The local people had difficult choices. With the arrival of Europeans, with all of their superior weaponry, they couldn't resist them, so they had to work with them. And these military companies were a manifestation of those alliances that were formed, and they replicate the sorts of military flag traditions that you would have seen in Europe in the 16th century, but they are bristlingly African. What I particularly love is the way in which they capture this period of change, of transition. These areas that were once tiny coastal villages becoming huge centres of export and exchange. What you have to imagine is coming into a port from perhaps a mile away, looking up and just seeing hundreds of these flags fluttering in the distance. When you see them like that, you realise that these are incredibly sophisticated and well judged. I do particularly love this flag. I mean, around the turn of the First World War, the British put out a call across the empire for people to donate toward a fund to supply reconnaissance planes that are going to fly across enemy lines. And the Fante, who created these flags, they donate quite a bit of money. And this captures that moment. And it's an indication that, you know, as late as the First World War, that the Asafo are still incredibly loyal to the British, even though it's a difficult relationship, even though at this time local people are beginning to talk about independence. And this is a beautiful thing. I mean, this train, and it gives you a sense of the level of investment that the British brought to the coast. It's a fantastic way of capturing the change. But with the change, there was also a sense that the local people were being cut out of many of the advantages of this. And so these beautiful things, they become used as symbols of resistance. So these flags were actually used in protests, that there were riots, and in fact, many of these flags were confiscated around the turn of the century. They were seen as being insightful, and they were very often banned by the local governor, and that only made the people who made up these companies even more determined to celebrate their traditions through these flags.